Sea of Stars introduces us to two characters named resh'an and Aephorul, two insanely powerful alchemists that seem to be caught in an eternal conflict, including a pact that they've made that doesn't allow them to interfere with each other. So over time, resh'an became known as the Great Eagle, the Archivist, and the Immortal Alchemist. Aephorul is commonly known as the Fleshmancer. This video is a Sea of Stars review of the two Immortal Alchemists. Everything we know about the two in chronological order, starting with everything we see about their past, how they influenced the main world before the game story began, and everything that happens during the playthrough. So let's get started with the origin story. The earliest information we hear is through Teek's story, The Two Alchemists. These two powerful alchemists, they seek to create an elixir of life, and they succeed, granting them both immortality. With unlimited time at their disposal, they spend centuries nurturing the world, creating wonders to inspire the mortals. Sometime later, we get a cutscene showing the two friends on a cliffside. Aephorul has given resh'an a birthday gift, the power to transform into an eagle and fly. resh'an asks, "How did you do it?" But Aephorul is secretive about it. We also read that with immortality, their bodies began to decay, and so they hide themselves under cloaks. Next, we have the Fall of Aephorul. It's said that he becomes jealous of the ephemerality that he would never taste again. And with that, he begins to see mortals as lesser, using them as just another source for alchemy, experimenting with soul, bone, flesh, and blood. He fully embraces evil, and he emerges as the Fleshmancer, unleashing horrible, monstrous creations on the world. resh'an's response is that he tries to intervene, but they both possess godlike powers, and it leads to unspeakable chaos and collateral damage. Through their battles, resh'an finds a weakness to Aephorul's minions, solar and lunar magic, a power given to those born during a solstice. But just as resh'an's knowledge grew, so did Aephorul's. He became capable of creating dwellers with unlimited potential, impervious to all forms of magic, except during a total eclipse. And if left long enough, the dwellers would turn into world eaters. And so we find a stalemate. Solstice warriors and dwellers were evenly matched, but resh'an was sure that Aephorul would devise something even worse. So, in an effort to get ahead, resh'an performed transmutation alchemy on the space-time continuum itself. He split reality into countless timelines and parallel worlds. He stopped performing alchemy after this, and he became known as the Archivist, cataloging every possible outcome in search of a resolution with the Fleshmancer. So Aephorul was also pleased, as he was given an infinite number of realities to experiment with and destroy. The two decided to make a pact to let the fate of each timeline play out on its own. And so the game of cat and mouse began, played by dwellers and solstice warriors on one level, and by resh'an and Aephorul on another. With so many parallel worlds and timelines, resh'an and Aephorul don't actually visit all of them themselves. Sometimes one of them will go to one without the other even visiting it. But our world, the world in which the story is played out in, there's definitely influence of both resh'an and Aephorul. So we're going to go over what they did before the game started. So first of all, resh'an invites the world's best artisans to be a part of a new community called Mooncradle. And it's here that solstice warriors are nurtured, educated, and trained to fight the Fleshmancer's minions. Teek's stories detail how a magical light reshapes a peninsula into a crescent, the creation of the Celestial Willow, the establishment of Zenith Academy. So it's clear that resh'an has influenced this timeline greatly, setting up a strong foundation for solstice warriors. But Aephorul has also been at work, with multiple dwellers still remaining, history detailing the impact of the Dweller of Strife and how it took the lives of so many solstice warriors. And not only has Aephorul been developing his side of the battle, he's also used this world to experiment with new alchemy. We hear the story of the Clockwork Castle, Aephorul's recruitment of Kale and his friends to aid in his plans. Aephorul collaborated with the Watchmaker to design and construct the Clockwork Castle, a stronghold meant to control time itself. But Kale and his crew sabotage the castle, which results in time coming to halt within its walls. Now, this is a quick little story that we hear, but I believe it's got great implications. resh'an is the one who split the timelines, right? Not Aephorul. But Aephorul is also trying at time manipulation with alchemy, but it seems that he's failed. I think this is important, and it's going to come up a little bit more later. And it's from there that we're going to pick up into the main story of the game. So the story begins with resh'an following closely to a group of solstice warriors and their friends as they grow their powers. They get all the way to the door to his archives, and he says in other timelines this was the end of the road for them, but he decides to open the door this time. He joins the party with limitations on himself. He's not to intervene when fighting a dweller, and he'll only match the powers of the group, not using his full power. So by restricting his powers to a human-like level and refraining from directly influencing dwellers, resh'an sought to honor the agreement and prevent further devastation. He understood that engaging in direct confrontation with Aephorul at full power would only perpetuate the cycle of destruction and chaos. During the playthrough, we actually head to Clockwork Castle where we meet Kale and his Clockwork kids, and they've been working all this time on devices to help overthrow Aephorul. As the Solstice Warriors battle the Dweller, resh'an stands by his rules and he will not intervene. But Sarai does not believe that they can win, so she grabs the Vial of Time from resh'an and throws it at the Dweller, effectively breaking resh'an's rules. The pact has been broken. Aephorul immediately appears, knowing that the pact has been broken. He reprimands resh'an for allowing the Vial of Time to interact with the Dweller, ultimately blaming resh'an. He demands an eye for an eye, and he attacks Garl. And in that very moment, resh'an stops time, something Aephorul thought was impossible. resh'an explains how he figured it out, and we see a small glimpse of the friendship and respect that the two have for each other. resh'an tries to talk sense into Aephorul, but he still does not care. resh'an is appalled, saying Aephorul has done horrible things and hurt so many living beings, even taking over an entire species. Aephorul's response is an interesting one, saying that these lives mean nothing as they will be lost when resh'an recomposes the timelines. This is the first that we hear that maybe there's a plan to recompress the timelines. resh'an says nothing, and Aephorul comments that he's still procrastinating. resh'an believes that his two Solstice Warriors will be strong enough to defeat Aephorul himself. Aephorul even makes the comment that resh'an could stop him with the snap of his fingers, but he chooses to go this route in belief that it will end good, showing us that resh'an is in fact more powerful, but not willing to lose his old friend. They agree to disagree once again, and they resume time. Aephorul takes down Garl as a response to resh'an intervening with the Dweller. Garl is on his last legs, and once again, showcasing the power of these two great alchemists. While Garl is just about to pass, he demands a flask of borrowed time from resh'an. resh'an provides it for him, allowing him to remain alive, existing in between realities until his purpose is completed. You fast forward a little bit, we travel through the Sea of Stars to Sarai's world, a whole nother world, which is made clear that resh'an has never visited this one. Aephorul has had this world all to himself, wreaking havoc with his evil alchemy. He's turned a whole race of people into cyborgs. He's nearly wiped out a race of bird people, and he's been experimenting with mortals' souls. The game brings us to an area called the Lost Ones Hamlet. The next major information we get about the two alchemists is found here. We come across a lab of sorts created by Aephorul where he was experimenting with removing souls from bodies. And he was successful, but they're all trapped, unable to leave this place. resh'an is able to use his alchemy to put one of the souls into a body called Living Glass, once again just showing the powers that these two alchemists possess. As we progress, we come to talk to three leaders of the bird race. They speak directly to resh'an, calling him the Great Eagle, and it's here that's revealed that it was through a great sacrifice of the bird people that he was given flight. This is all news to him, as he's never been to this world before. And if you recall, resh'an was given the power of flight from Aephorul while they were still great friends, long before Aephorul became the Fleshmancer and turned evil, which indicated to resh'an that Aephorul was up to evil deeds long before he thought. resh'an says this changes everything, and he leaves. Where did he go? It's unknown to us right now. My theory is that resh'an is much more advanced in the alchemy of time. Remember, he's the one who split the timeline. He's the one who demonstrated his ability to stop time. And if he can figure out when and why Aephorul started to turn evil, perhaps he can travel back in time to save his friend. Hey, let me know what you guys think, or if you have any theories, put them down in the comments. I'd love to read those as well. As we make our way through the Fleshmancer's lair, we see many of his creations, gross creatures made from flesh and bone. As the Solstice Warriors approach Aephorul at last, he simply calls them a nuisance. And in the regular ending, he summons his champion to fight against us, and upon defeating her, he discards her like nothing. resh'an then appears through a portal and he says they've won. It's time to leave Aephorul. And the two exit through a portal, leaving the Solstice Warriors to defeat the World Eater that has emerged. Now, of course, there's also a true ending, and I won't cover the whole true ending, but as our team approaches Aephorul this time, Garl interrupts him to call him a coward and to fight his own battles. Aephorul responds with pride, and they do fight. Now we win, and once again, resh'an appears, greets his old friend, and takes him through the portal. Now, although it feels good to finally defeat Aephorul ourselves, it leaves us with a few questions. Where do we go from here? Where did resh'an take Aephorul? Will the battle between Dwellers and Solstice Warriors still continue? And what about other timelines? Will resh'an be recompressing all of the timelines? And what happens to everybody? Hey, thanks for joining me on this deep dive through resh'an and Aephorul. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. I got a few more videos I want to produce about other characters in the Sea of Stars universe. Let me know what you thought of this one in the comments, and don't forget to check out my other videos.